Rachel Thieves is mulling over her property tax. You know what it is when they're mulling something over. What it means is, oh, we're thinking about it. We're going to see if it's the right thing to do for working people. Note to self, we're going to do it. So she's mulling over replacing stamp duty for this property tax. And the way that that looks like is that you can either pay annually, or if your house is worth over £500,000, you pay in a lump sum when you sell your house. Now, some people are saying that's a good idea. Most people are saying that's a bad idea. What that actually looks like, if you want to know the maths, is if your home is worth over £500,000, you will be paying £2,970 a year for owning it. So there you go. You own your house and now you're going to pay tax on owning your house, even though you've already paid all the other taxes. Now, it won't apply to houses where you've already paid stamp duty. So for anyone that's already bought a house and paid stamp duty, this won't apply. So what do we think that's going to do to the housing market? I, for one, would not sell my house. Simple as that. Because if I was going to have to pay these inflated rates, it makes no financial sense for me to move. And so I won't move. So property in the UK will stagnate, in my humble opinion. And then there's the other look on this, that if you're in London and you own a house over £500,000, you're obviously in the majority. I mean, you can't get a shoebox in London for anything less than £500,000. So for families who are just about managing to squeeze the mortgage, if they decide to have a baby and need to move to somewhere bigger, they're going to have to pay this inflated rate. So on £500,000, it's nearly £3,000 a year. On 600,000, it's 3,240. On 700,000, 3,780, 800,000, 4,320, and £1 million, 5,400. Now, £1 million in London doesn't get you much. £1 million in Altrincham doesn't get you much. You know, there's certain pockets in the country where that doesn't go as far. Not necessarily my pocket, but there are pockets where it doesn't go as far. So you've already got the taxes that you're paying anyway, and now you're paying this on top for owning your home. So it sort of begs the question, would you want your house to go up in price? Would you want to do any renovations? Would you want to do any improvements in it? Because everything you put into it, you're going to get taxed on. I can't see any good logic on this. And also, what happens with landlords? So if you own a house and you rent it, does that mean you're going to pass this cost on to the people that are renting it? So our rent's going to go up? I mean, everything else in life is going up, and Labour haven't worked out yet that by the fact that people aren't spending any money, and by the fact that employment or unemployment is going up, and people don't have any money in their pockets, as Rachel Reeves keeps saying that they do, then people aren't going to move. And of course, we need people to move for growth in the economy. So my immediate response to this is it's another crock of shit. It's another thing that Labour have come up with on the back of a, pack of cards and gone, this is a really good idea. Now, don't get me wrong, stamp duty is rubbish. I just feel like the entire housing market needs rethinking, but it doesn't need rethinking by somebody like Rachel Reeves. It sort of needs rethinking by Kirsty and Phil, doesn't it? The people that actually work in it, the people that actually see what it's like. I mean, first-time buyers in this, and if you're looking at movement of houses, it tends to be between the first-time to second-time buyer. I mean, they're going to be absolutely stung, and there is no incentive. So are we wanting people to move into the rental market? But then if people are moving into the rental market, someone's got to own those houses. So I guess it's Serco, isn't it? I guess they're the ones that own all the houses. So those big fat companies, they make all the money because we now can't even afford to live in our own houses. And that's what it's getting to, isn't it? We can't afford to drive our own cars. We can't afford to live in our own houses. We can't afford to feed our own children. We can't afford to feed our own selves. The air that we're being taxed on. I mean, it's just everywhere. And you'll all have seen the memes that when Labour come into power, the country goes bankrupt. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly, but it really is happening so quickly. They've spent all of our money and now they want more of our money, or they'll do things like this and print more money. And why is Rachel Reeves still there? Can anyone answer that? Why is Rachel Reeves still in a position of authority and power? I mean, you can all throw Liz Truss at me. You can all turn around and say, Liz Truss, what an absolute disaster, with her mini budget. The Bank of England have pretty much admitted that was their fault. So the Bank of England have pretty much said, yeah, no, we screwed that one over. But the headline is better that it was Liz Truss, isn't it? The headline is much better that because she was a Conservative and people hated the Conservatives, it was her fault, despite the fact that the Bank of England have gone, actually, it wasn't really, it was our fault. So we've got the Liz Truss famous mini budget, which is the first thing that people throw back at you if you say anything about Rachel Reeves and they happen to be a Labour supporter. What Rachel Reeves has done to the economy has got nothing to do with the Bank of England. It's got everything to do with Rachel Reeves. And yet she's still there. I mean, Liz Truss was ousted and Rachel Reeves is still there, sort of 13, 14 months after the hideous event. So I don't understand how she is still there, why we are still in a position where she is making these hideous decisions for the country, and why those influential people who do work in these individual areas aren't lobbying her. I mean, we know that the Labour Party love a lobbyist, said no one ever in the Labour Party. But why aren't they lobbying her and saying, what in the name of God are you thinking, woman? And I know lots of people are, and it's the right-wing media, because, of course, if anyone opposes Labour, then they're right-wing. We only need to look at the response to what's happened in Epping and the right-wing. And it's like, actually, just no, this is the country opposing you. I mean, Labour's popularity ratings are at minus 54%. That's the same as Liz Truss. That's the same as what she was just before she went. Yet they're still there. I mean, it's now making the mainstream media the petition that's got 1 million people that have signed it that said we want a general election, but they're still there. I mean, Keir Starmer feels like he is the last thing to die in a nuclear war. He's like a cockroach. He's completely impervious to any of this. It's possibly going to be an ousting. But if you remember what happened with poll tax, I don't feel this is a million miles off. I mean, we need more details. And obviously, Labour don't like doing the details, do they? They don't like doing the small print. They like mulling things over. Oh, look, it's in. It's there. There we go. We told you all about it. You didn't, did you? You didn't tell us anything of the sort. If we look at a lot of the U-turns, we can only hope that this is going to be the next U-turn. I mean, you can almost smell the rubber on it. But nonetheless, the political and economic uncertainty and the uncertainty that families are facing, these things put the fear of God into me every time I hear something. And I think, how is this going to affect us? We are literally, these are the ends and they're not meeting. So what is this next tax on our aspiration? And our aspiration is just to live, isn't it? It's just to sort of like get through the day and go, what should we have for tea? Without having to go, right, let's get through the day and think, should we go to the yellow labels or should we go and see if we've got a tin of beans somewhere? It used to be, if you were meal planning for the week, you'd go, right, well, we'll have spaghetti bolognese on Monday. We'll have fajitas on Tuesday. We'll have fish cakes and salad on Wednesday, and you'd go through things that you liked, that tasted nice, that was variety and entertainment. Now you go through what's cheap. You go through what you can afford. And of course, we're not digging for victory anymore, are we? We're not on ration books. We are supposed to be a civilised country. We're supposed to be a civilised population in a wealthy country. Yet here we are, the population, saying, okay, so it's potatoes 5 ways again, guys. Is that all right? Don't put it in the air fryer because of the electricity bill. And that's kind of where it's not kind of where we're at. It is where we're at. So let's watch this rumble. Let's watch the property tax rumble. But honestly, if I were Mystic Meg, I would say, sorry, Meg. I always say her, and I know she's dead. I don't mean to take your name in vain, Mystic Meg. It's just that you were quite clever and quite funny, and you made me laugh, particularly with the fringe, bit Bridget Phillipson. If I had a crystal ball, I would say this will lead to, well, the same response to poll tax. Just my thoughts.